Hey, this is Mr. Mitchell. Today we're going to talk about the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system is sometimes called the circular system. Go ahead and write down the questions and we'll get to the heart of the matter. Well, that was a bad one, wasn't it? Well, anyway, your body has a highway, so to speak, that reaches all parts of that body. And this, of course, is called the cardiovascular or circulatory system. Of course, it includes the heart, includes the vessels, and includes all the blood. And you can imagine there's not many places on your body where you could get a cut and not have blood come out. And it's just almost completely fills up the insides of your skin. So there's really a lot to this cardiovascular system. Now what's going to happen, the blood is going to carry oxygen and glucose, which is a sugar, to your cells, which is what your cells need. They need the oxygen, they need the sugar, and it's going to carry away the waste. Now we're not talking waste like in other systems. We're talking about carbon dioxide in most cases. Your body does not need the carbon dioxide. It's going to exhale the carbon dioxide. And there's some in the cells, so it's got to get out. Okay, we have the heart here. The heart, of course, let's see what color I want to use. Let's go with, why can I not decide a color? Let's try yellow. See how yellow, oh, that's a pretty color, yellow right there. The heart pushes blood through the vessels with every heartbeat. Now we have the septum. The septum is the wall of tissue that separates each side. So the septum is going to be this wall right here. You can see there's a wall that separates either side. You're going to have what's called the atrium, which is the upper chambers. Oh, you see the right atrium and the left atrium. So the upper chambers are going to be the atrium, and you have what's called the ventricle, which will be the lower chambers. Right ventricle and left ventricle. Right here, looks like this is kind of inverse, because this is my right and that's the left. But still, you have a right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. There is a group of cells which is called the pacemaker. Now you've heard of people getting pacemakers put in. Your body has a natural pacemaker already. But that group of cells sends out signals that makes the heart contract. So when people get pacemakers put in, your heart is not beating at the rhythm or the regularity that it's supposed to, and that artificial pacemaker would help what you were born with or replace what you were born with. There is a thing called a valve. A valve is a flap of tissue that prevents blood from flowing backwards, because blood is all going to go in one direction. You do not need any blood flowing backwards. It just doesn't work well that way. And let's see what we have here. Blood loops from the heart to the lungs. It picks up oxygen in the lungs, then it goes back to the heart, and then out to the body. It is the right side. Now they have the right side here, and sure enough, this down here has the right side on the other side. So what's going to happen is you have the right side, which is going to put the body, which is going to take it to the lungs. So this side has the bad blood in it. Now I say bad blood, it's the blood that doesn't have as much oxygen in it. It's going to go to the lungs. Why don't I just have it stay this side here? Because it's blue and blue and red and red. The right side takes the blood to the lungs. What do you think happens at the lungs? At the lungs are going to take the carbon dioxide and exhale. See, I just did it, and you probably have done it several times in this video. And it's going to get oxygen. Oh, there, I just did it too. So you probably have done that several times during the video. The lungs are going to give it that oxygen. So what's going to happen, it's going to flow back into the left side. It takes less than a minute for the blood to go from heart to lungs, back to heart, throughout your body, and then back to the heart again. Less than a minute. Carbon dioxide is left in the lungs for exhalation. The oxygen is taken in the blood. Now, the reason they have one side in red and one side in blue is because it is true that the more oxygen-rich blood is going to be red, and the less oxygen-rich blood is going to be darker, and they often categorize that as blue, even though it's not always perfectly blue. It's just going to be not quite as red. So you can see this side, this left side, is going to have that blood which just came from the lungs. And this right side is going to have that blood that just came from the body. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Let me go back to my notes here. There are going to be three kinds of blood vessels, but I guess I better talk about coronary arteries first. First of all, there is something called the aorta. The aorta up top here is the largest artery. Freshly oxygenated blood goes here first. Goes to this aorta first before going out into the body. And I have a term here, coronary arteries. Coronary arteries are the first branches past this aorta. So you can see some branches that are coming out here. They're going to be coronary arteries. They carry blood to the heart, and other branches carry the blood to the brain, intestines, and other organs. So coronary arteries actually pump some blood back into the heart because, well, the heart needs it as well. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Next slide. There are three kinds of blood vessels. Arteries, they carry blood away from the heart. So it goes from the left side of the heart to the arteries. The capillaries are the little bitty blood vessels that actually take the transfer of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and the veins are coming back to the heart. In fact, you can see arteries here in red, you can see veins here in blue, and that's how people often categorize that, because the really red blood is the ones that's going to have most of the oxygen in it. Hey, you see that right here. Going into the capillaries, you have the really red blood, and it turns into the not as rich red blood. Well, anyway, let's talk about these three things. Arteries first. Artery walls are very thick, and we're talking about the arteries here that are going out into the body. They're very thick because they have to be. They are made of 3-cell layers, and it makes the artery strong and flexible to withstand the enormous pressure. There's a lot of pressure once you have that heartbeat. There's a lot of pressure on the walls of these arteries, because that's a lot of blood in a quick amount of time. So it's kind of like you have to have some kind of something that's made of something of substance. You can't just have like a paper water hose. You have to have a rubber water hose or synthetic water hose. Same thing with these arteries. They have to be durable, because they're going to be working every second of your life. The amount of blood parts of your body receives depends upon the need. For example, while you are eating, the stomach and intestine gets more blood. But say you are not eating, say you're running, the stomach and intestine would not get as much blood. So your body does kind of focus in on the parts that need it the most. Let's talk about capillaries. Capillaries are tiny. Now keep in mind, blood goes out into the arteries, and then, you see where there's a lot of arteries here, and then it goes even farther. There's a lot of white space here. And like I said, you can cut pretty much any place on your body and there'll be blood, But you see all this white space here? That's kind of filled with these capillaries. And you can see the capillaries are very, very small. It goes from these arteries into these multi-vesseled capillaries. Now the capillaries are very tiny. In fact, capillary walls are only 1 cell thick. 1 cell thick. And that way, oxygen and sugar or glucose that's inside the bloodstream can more easily pass through that 1 cell. Now it passes through by diffusion. We have studied diffusion earlier. I think it's DI, and sure enough it's going to take a long time to write this because I don't have my handy dandy little pad here. Diffusion. But while I'm writing diffusion, you can look below where I'm writing. We've studied this before. If you have one side of a container that has a lot of dots on it, and in this case one side of the capillary, which has a lot of oxygen. The wall here is so thin that these kind of spread out. So imagine this is the capillary and this is outside the capillary. That the oxygen just kind of diffuses out, and over time it is evenly spread out. Now that is mighty fast to have diffusion, because you know this is going to take less than a minute to go from heart out to the body and then back into the heart. So it diffuses very quickly, but that's what scientists say is happening. The fact that you have a lot of oxygen in your blood and you don't have a lot of oxygen in the cells is why it is able to transfer over so quickly. Well, that's kind of a heady concept right there. But anyway, let's talk about the veins. Veins also have 3 layers like the arteries, but the veins are much thinner than the arteries. There's not near as much pressure on the veins because the blood has gone all the way out and it's coming all the way back, and it's not going to have as much pressure as those arteries do. But well-placed valves and the exertion of muscles and lungs help push that blood back. Notice what's happening here. You have the heart, which, for example, has sent blood all the way down your legs, and it's got to come back. It has to actually fight gravity to come back to the heart. But like I said, there are valves in the veins which keep it from going backwards, and there are muscles and your breathing that actually kind of forces it back up, and it's something you don't even have to do. So it pushes the blood back to the heart. So that's a little bit about that. We have one final thing on blood pressure. Blood pressure on arteries and veins is measured by a sphygmometer. And that's why most people call this a blood pressure cuff, because you have such a huge name that it actually is. So this is one that is attached to a wall. You've probably been in a doctor's office and seen those, probably even had it on you. The cuff fills up really, really tight, and they take the reading as it is settling down. But you can see you have 2 numbers. Like if you have 140 over 90, it's high. If you have 120 something over 80 something, it's kind of high. And normal is 120 over 80. So whenever you go to the doctor, that's what you have. And these 2 numbers are, the first number is, well, I don't have much time and I'll kind of make this simple. The first number is the blood pressure while blood pumps into the arteries. So this is as soon as it comes out of the heart. As soon as it comes out of the heart. And this number is the same measurement as soon as it comes out of the heart, but when the heart is relaxing. You know, you have that thump, 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 thump. You have thrust of blood out and rest. Thrust of blood out and rest. So it's measuring the pressure when you have contraction of the heart, which pushes the blood out, and relaxing of that heart muscle is the bottom number, systolic and diastolic, which is, I'm sure, words that you will hear as it goes through with this. Hey, I hope you learned a little bit about this cardiovascular system.